Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the JobsOhio Board of Directors meeting. Please welcome Chairman Bob Smith.
Good morning and welcome to JobsOhio's third quarter Board of Directors meeting. We're excited to be in Northeast Ohio today at the beautiful Beechwood headquarters of our friends at the Eaton Corporation. I'd like to thank my fellow board members for joining us this morning. JP, it's always good to see you and be with you. Welcome our invited guests and everyone joining us online today. I'd like to acknowledge our JobsOhio network partners, state and local elected officials, and regional business leaders who made time out of their busy schedules to join us today. Thank you again for your support and presence at our meeting. During our last board meeting, we were fortunate to have been able to announce Ford Motors' new EV car line that would be manufactured right here in Northeast Ohio that will create 2,000 new jobs and more than $1.5 billion in investment for the plant. Indeed, Northeast Ohio continues to build upon that momentum, and we're excited for what the future holds. While we celebrate huge wins like Ford, and of course last week's tremendous Intel groundbreaking, there's an ongoing need and demand for sites throughout the state. While upon increased demand for sites throughout the states. We will also hear an update on our innovation districts as our partners in Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus build out their vision for increased STEM education, world-class research, and economic development community built around rewarding innovation and job growth. As we strive to excel on projects, workforce, and innovation, we continue to focus on our statewide impact and take measure of our efforts over the last 11 years. At our board retreat last year, we determined an economic impact study would be timely and instructive to determine not just how we've performed on our commitments, but also how our impact on the broader categories such as construction jobs, induced jobs for Ohio. JobsOhio partnered with M-Plan, a third-party, highly regarded economic research firm, and their findings were significant in the broader reach of JobsOhio to the statewide economic footprint. We look forward to sharing our findings and the power of the JobsOhio model for the people of Ohio. I'd also like to draw attention to our returning independent panel members who have been reappointed by the board today. Marshall Moore, Senior Vice President and Chief Legal Officer at Encova Insurance. Jen Bowden, Vice President, Brand and Social Impact at IGS Energy. And Jeff Addison, President of Technovate. We also thank retiring IRP board member Doug Ponsler for his fantastic service to JobsOhio. Thank you, Doug. And we look forward to hearing JP Nassif's, our president's report that will focus on what opportunities and areas of focus we have before us as we turn the corner into the closing months of a very busy 2024. But before we dive into all that, it's my pleasure to introduce the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Ohio, John Husted. John has kindly joined us via Zoom, and we welcome his remarks. Lieutenant Governor? He hasn't been able to join us yet. All right, we'll come back to him. I'd like to thank Eaton Corporation for hosting us today and their gracious hospitality. We were here all day yesterday. Eaton has been a pillar in our community for many years, and I'd like to ask Executive Vice President Ernest Marshall to also greet our guests and those watching virtually. Ernest, thank you for hosting us.
Good morning, and thank you for being here today. My name is Ernest Marshall. I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer for Eaton. For those of you who don't know us, we're a 111-year-old power intelligent management company. We focus on the global secular trends, electrification, energy transition, and digitalization. And today, we have over 85,000 employees and customers in 170 countries. We do important work everywhere, from utilities to electric vehicles, aerospace, and more. As a Northeast Ohio-based company, we have seen great things happen when great jobs get created. Communities thrive, and so does the state. Right now, we have 5 locations in Ohio and 1,300 employees, and we are committed to make work exciting, engaging, and meaningful for them. We are also committed to the environment, making our communities stronger and being a model of inclusion and diversity in our industry. We released our first ever Inclusion and Diversity Transparency Report, and I'm proud to say diversity starts at the top here at Eaton. More than half our board is comprised of U.S. minorities, and 56.5% of our leadership team are also minority. When it comes to the planet, we tend to be 50% carbon reduction, and we want to even be better than that and be carbon neutral and transform all of our manufacturing sites to become zero waste to landfill by 2030. We have a brand promise. We make what matters work, and we don't intend to stop. We have deep roots in Ohio, and we're here for the long run. As I mentioned earlier, great jobs really do create great communities. And when communities thrive, that's the fabric of a great state. This is our great state of Ohio. Thank you all for visiting us, and I hope you enjoy your time at Eaton Center.
Thank you, Ernest. Eaton is, in fact, a great corporate citizen and involved in many things for many, many years. So thank you for being here. Thank you for hosting us, your headquarters.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
And now we do have Lieutenant Governor John Husted with us. John, if you would.
Great to be with you this morning. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing great.
Doing great.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. Well, Mr. Chairman and JP and board members, great to be with you this morning. I wanted to just share a couple of thoughts with you as I have been touring the state. You obviously know all of what is happening on the economic front from the lens of JobsOhio. I'll share a few thoughts with you from the work that we're doing in the governor's office of workforce transformation, Innovate Ohio, and some of the other things that we are focused on. This week, I've been touring the state on a next generation jobs tour. And what that means is I've been visiting with educational institutions, many career centers, and employers who are helping to supply the talent they need through those various training options in the state. I will tell you that as I've gone to and visited with the career centers, many of them are nearing capacity with the number of students that they have. And I think that that is something that we should celebrate in the sense that even as recently as 5 years ago, you would hear people say, well, we need to do more vocational training. We need more students at our career centers. They're the ones that are creating the skill or helping students get the skills so they can graduate job ready. And there seemed to be this choice between a career pathway that you might find at a career center and a college pathway. Well, the good news is that I think that the barriers between that, the barriers are being broken down, that more and more families recognize the value proposition that career centers provide, and some state laws have been changed to give more students work-based opportunities while they're in high school. And we're seeing many employers hire students who are at the career centers. Some of them have the 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off model where they go to school for 2 weeks, they go to work-based learning for 2 weeks. And we're seeing the numbers jump up. I also would like to say that Governor DeWine and I, thanks to the support of the legislature, we put incentives in the previous 2 budgets to pay career centers bonuses when they increase the number of students who graduate with in-demand credentials. So all of those things working together seem to be driving the numbers in the right direction. More students graduating with in-demand credentials, more students job ready and working even before they get out of high school. You go to many high schools. One recent career center I visited showed that there were $1.5 million earned by the graduating senior class, the last year's graduating senior class, while they were in school. And so this is really, you're seeing a great change there for the better. I also might make note that you don't have to choose between a career path and a college path. You can do both. And with College Credit Plus, you're seeing many of these students earning college credits while they're in high school. Many of them have associate's degrees. I was at Lorain Community College the other day with a student who is enrolled there in their nano manufacturing, nano electronic program. And he intends on graduating high school with his bachelor's degree simultaneously using College Credit Plus. And so we're breaking down the lines between college and career. We're showing people that can be both. You can also, in many cases, we're seeing changes among the employers who are now maybe 10 years ago would have said, no, I can advertise in the newspaper or online, a job board, and ask for somebody with 2 or 5 years of experience and a degreed certification. But now they're saying we don't need that. Certifications are good. We'll train you on the job. And so employers are changing their approach as well and being more collaborative with educational institutions and certainly being willing to pay for college services and things like that, which brings me to another service that we have in the state of Ohio, Tech Cred. 48,000 credentials have been offered through Tech Cred. For those of you that don't know what it is, the state will pay up to $2,000 for one of your employees to earn an industry credential. You pick the employee, you pick the skill you want them to earn, and then when they complete it, has to be pay for completion, not pay for participation, then we reimburse up to $2,000. And we have an individual program like that called IMAP, the industry micro-credential program for people who are not working, who want to earn a skill to take a job. And we're really deploying that successfully with our broadband technicians. We want to build out broadband. You can't build out broadband without a workforce, and we're helping to pay for a lot of those students earning the credentials as a line splicer, tower technician, you name it, and there are a variety of options that we have there. So this is a quick report to you on some of the things that are happening as of late. And I will say this, that a lot of this is driven by demographics. I looked at the jobs numbers this morning that are out in the state of Ohio. We're near record low unemployment in the state, nationally, and in the state. We don't see the workforce participation rate has not recovered to where it was pre-pandemic, and we have an aging population. Most states in the Midwest, Ohio, and every state that borders it will have fewer people in the working age workforce, which means the 24 to 60 population in 2030 than they have now. And many states in the Midwest have peaked between somewhere around 2006 to 2011 in terms of the number of people in that demographic. So demographics are driving a lot of the challenges that we have in supplying the workforce. As I often say, we're creating jobs in Ohio faster than we can find people to fill them, which is an unprecedented opportunity for people to get great careers, whether that's somebody leaving through second chance employment options with an addiction or leaving incarceration, whether that is somebody who's previously on public assistance, whether that is a family that no longer needs to send their child to college because the jobs are there with industry credentials. It's changing the landscape, it's changing the marketplace, and we're trying to adjust, be nimble to make sure that our job training and education programs are keeping pace. And if we do that, I think that everybody is going to be a rising tide that lifts all boats in Ohio, and I'm excited about what that future holds for us. So that's just a quick thought on some of the things that the Lieutenant Governor has been doing this week, and why I think that's important to Ohio's future, what we're learning, and how we're responding.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. The achievements under the DeWine Husted administration in this economic development area are significant, largely in part to your leadership. You've had a long career both in the private sector as well as as a public servant in advancing the state's economy, so thank you for that. Let's get back to our board actions today. We need to approve our minutes from June 2nd. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Let's now move to the President's report. JP.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and guests. Thank you for being here today. But last quarter, the work of Jobs Ohio's team are regional and local partners, and we have three regional partners with us today. Bill Kaler, President and CEO of Team NEO, Mike Jacoby, the Chief Executive of Ohio Southeast, and Jeff Hoagland, the CEO of the Dayton Development Coalition. Jobs Ohio has 6 partners. It's one of our competitive advantages. We appreciate you being here today, working together and collaborating. Thank you. Under the leadership of the DeWine-Husted administration, the economy has continued building momentum, and as Ohio becomes the geographical center of gravity for a renaissance of American industry and manufacturing. 1 week ago, we witnessed the president and the governor and congressional delegation, other elected officials from all parties, come together to announce and have a groundbreaking for the Silicon Heartland, $20 billion investment in Intel. This kind of unity and collaboration isn't unique to Ohio, but it's something Ohio does very well, and I'd argue that probably does it better than anyone in the country. It is another one of the secrets to our success and why the momentum continues. And Jobs Ohio is working. Ohio is winning. Our new business pipeline remains very strong, and Jobs Ohio continues to take an aggressive approach to compete and win, to continue to help create jobs and opportunity, while making sure we deliver a significant return on investment for Ohioans and Ohio. It's what you all expect, and it's what you deserve. Jobs Ohio's strategy includes making investments to support the retention and expansion of Ohio businesses and the attraction of new businesses. We've also implemented programs to foster the next generation of entrepreneurs, placemaking to revitalize some of our urban areas, and to increase the production of the very valuable STEM talent pool. And one of the ways we do that is through our innovation strategy. In 2019, this board approved investments in 3 innovation districts. Those innovation districts were announced by Governor DeWine in 2020 and in 2021. And I've asked managing directors Kevin Chambers from our team and Tyler Alchin to provide the board and all of you here today with an overview of those innovation districts and the status of the progress being made by these partners. Tyler and Kevin.
Thank you, JP. Good morning. Chairman Smith, members of the Board of Directors, guests, it is my pleasure to be involved and be a part of this innovation strategy that, as JP mentioned, was a board initiative a couple years ago, and to witness the very positive progress that's being made throughout the state. As a reminder, we have a 3-pronged innovation strategy. It focuses on and benefits the entire state of Ohio. These innovation districts, however, are specifically designed to drive collaboration in STEM talent production, accelerate advanced research, and attract significant private investment to the state of Ohio. Over a 10-year period, we aspire to create 60,000 new jobs, 47.5 thousand net new STEM graduates, and drive a $9 billion economic impact to the state of Ohio. We aspire to achieve global leadership in disciplines such as pediatric oncology, gene therapy, and pathogen research, while driving the ability of Ohio to be a magnet for entrepreneurs, inventors, and cutting-edge industries. In a minute, Tyler Alchin is going to highlight some examples of the progress that we're seeing, but I'd like to mention a few programmatic points very briefly. All of our 9 anchor institutions are meeting or exceeding their contractual milestones and goals at this time, and all indications are that that trajectory will continue, and they will continue to move forward in achieving those goals that I mentioned a minute ago. Internally, within Jobs Ohio, I think this has been a business case for collaboration. Starting at the top, from the board of directors through JP, all the way down through the organization. We are built to collaborate. We are built to operate in a culture of teamwork, and our internal stakeholder working group is cross-functional and has proved to be a very successful demonstration of our commitment as we work with the 9 anchors and the organizations throughout the state. As a key part of our external stakeholder management plan, JP, as recently as last week, initiated and executed a series of one-on-one leadership sessions with the anchors here in Cleveland. We met with 4 out of 5, and we are on schedule to meet with the 5th. And we want to continue to aspire to achieve more than what we have put on paper with these anchor institutions and what our baseline commitment is. So we continue to work with them to develop new ways to attract businesses, new ways to grow the Innovation District over the course of that 10 years. And Tyler is leading our business development and our research development aspects of these programs. So Tyler, can you give us some highlights, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Chairman, JP, thank you for the opportunity to update you on the Innovation District program this morning. I'd like to spend just a minute highlighting, for an additional emphasis, the research deliverable across our institutions. The Innovation District program was launched with an intention to meet the challenge around research talent in real estate innovation space. That research piece is particularly important in that it's vital to commercialization of new technologies, startups, and innovation that corporates want to be near. Our institutions across our 3 districts committed to adding net new $1 billion of research. And as the healthcare life sciences sector lead for JobsOhio, I'm particularly proud to reiterate what Kevin just mentioned, is that those institutions are meeting or exceeding that metric and well on their way to hitting that goal. That research piece bodes well and is a tailwind, not only for the innovation districts, but for our JobsOhio pipeline, the talent that our corporates need in the early stage growth across our state. While we're achieving great strides in Cincinnati, where our Digital Futures complex is set to open next Friday, and in Columbus, where the Ohio State University Nationwide Children's keep pushing boundaries around gene therapy, I figured, Mr. Chairman and JP, we'd spend a few minutes just talking about the Cleveland Innovation District, since we're here at Eaton this morning. Anchored by the Cleveland Clinic, which has seen really great success in attracting new researchers in genomics, immune oncology, and other areas such as vaccine development. Those researchers will be housed in a new research campus immediately adjacent to Opportunity Corridor here in Cleveland. We're expecting to see synergies with projects in their capacity on that front. University Hospitals just up the road has seen great strides both in research and commercialization. One area of highlight, Mr. Chairman, would be the recruitment of a new researcher clinician to lead a AI ML lab around radiology and some of the developments on that front. That's already realized an attraction win for our businesses. Moving across the district, Case Western Reserve continues to scale their research commitment and enterprise and have brought on several new leadership positions there. At Metro Health, they're set to unveil a new immune oncology center and lab there that will not only serve patients, but be that infrastructure for our next generation of biotech leaders here in Cleveland. Our dollars played a central role in the development of that. And lastly, but not least, because we need Cleveland State to provide the graduates and the talent for all of these initiatives, our team is doing a great job. Bill Kaler at Team Neo, Christy Klaus on our team, connecting those graduates and talent to our employers across the state, whether it be Intel, Amgen, or Sherwin-Williams. Both here in Cleveland as well as Cincinnati with Ready and Columbus with One Columbus, we're working hand in hand with our regional partners, as Kevin said, to kind of push out an all-hands business development strategy. Moving forward here in Cleveland, we intend to go deep around neuroscience, regenerative medicine, biotech, and pathogen research, connecting that clinician and research environment at the district to industry. So want to reiterate the thank you for the investment on this front, and early signs are really promising.
just to remind everybody, those were $100 million investments in each of the 3 districts, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland. I believe is going to be probably the most catalytical thing we do in addition to the Intel project and Ford. Those are very significant themselves. But in terms of really attracting talent, this has to get them at a younger age and get them into our universities and have the employers in this area who need them have connections with them through that experience at the university. I think it's critical. So, other questions or comments from members of the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin and Tyler, for your leadership, creativity, persistence, and I have to say the anchors that are associated with the innovation districts are meeting on a regular basis, even when our team is not with them. So it's really encouraging collaboration, which again, you've heard Governor, Lieutenant Governor say it often, is that those who collaborate best win. So we're seeing a heightened level of collaboration, and the outcomes are starting to show from it. So thank you very much. So the next topic I'd like to cover in the President's report, you referenced, Mr. Chairman, in your remarks, and it goes to the heart of one of the many reasons that Intel and other large companies like Ford that you referenced choose Ohio. They look for an area that's got a great quality of life, that's affordable, that has the workforce that they need, that has a location near their supply chain. And what we're finding is more and more the necessity to have a shovel-ready site that's ready to go is very important and critical. So a portfolio of sites that meets the needs of their business, that's ready to go at the speed and the pace required by that business to meet their competitive requirements in the global marketplace. That's why the board 5 years ago approved a $250 million investment over 5 years to invest in shovel-ready or job-ready sites. That program is designed not only to invest $250, but for each dollar that we found so far that's been invested in these sites, we're attracting as many as 15 additional other dollars, private sector development dollars, federal dollars, et cetera. So it's really a multiplier for the investment and importation of capital. So I'd like to invite Terry Slaybaugh, JobsOhio's Vice President for Sites and Infrastructure, amongst other great things that Terry does for the organization. He's going to share a video that describes SiteOhio and the Ohio Sites program, and then share some insights about the progress of that program, its impact on our economic development success, and then take questions from the board. Thank you. Roll the video, please.
With its favorable tax environment, sizable economy, manufacturing capabilities, and access to 60% of the population of the U.S. and Canada, Ohio has always been one of the best places anywhere for business. But to take advantage of being in Ohio, companies need a physical place to relocate or expand operations. A decade ago, finding sites in the state was not a smooth process. Each local government and regional partner was operating independently. There was little to no due diligence, and in many cases, sites were unprepared for companies who did make visits. In 2016, JobsOhio launched SiteOhio, an initiative to unify site preparedness efforts across the state, proactively preparing local communities and identifying sites, as well as making responses to companies' requests more efficient.
SiteOhio was born out of that concept of, how do we make sure that we are ready for a client when they're looking? And ready basically means, what can a site do right now? What is it engineered to do? With SiteOhio, it carved out a piece of a puzzle that nowhere else in the country is doing, and still not doing anything like SiteOhio, but carved out a piece of sites aren't quite ready yet, okay? So let's put them in the pipeline, and let's figure out what it's going to take to get them ready.
Through SiteOhio, companies have access to pre-vetted, certified properties that have been through a comprehensive review and analysis. This lets them quickly choose an available site that's guaranteed to have utilities that will support their business and completed due diligence studies approved by all necessary state and federal agencies. In other words, they can skip the usual legwork necessary to find a site and get their business up and running fast. SiteOhio provides a statewide property database with authenticated sites which are immediately approved for building. We go beyond common certified site process, putting properties within industrial zoning through a more stringent and comprehensive review and analysis than any other state site certification process in the U.S. That means sites are ready for construction from day one, and that companies can move into active operations as efficiently as possible. Because SiteOhio collaborates closely with all parts of the state, we can best meet the needs of each individual partner while increasing wins for all of Ohio.
When your site is authenticated and when your site has that full due diligence, you just float to the top. We understand real clearly that speed to market and due diligence is key. Understanding where you align in the marketplace is a key. So when those projects do arise, you know to respond to them and put an emphasis on that. You know, I think has been amazing for us is that around May of 2021, we received that authentication, and then early May of 2022, we had the project announcement by SemCorp that they would be purchasing the SiteOhio Industrial Park and investing about $1 billion in that project, creating around 1,200 jobs. So a really significant investment in projects. And all of that happened in such a short time. It almost seemed like we didn't barely get it on the market and it was off the market, which is quite the story.
Since its inception in 2016, SiteOhio has focused on two distinct parts of the site process. First is proactive. This is all about being prepared before a business is actively looking for a site. We provide coaching and education to communities and partners that host company site visits so they know how to showcase potential sites in a way that resonates and entices business to move operations there. Our comprehensive certification process falls under this category as well, ensuring that things like geotechnical reports, utility checks, and engineering verifications are all completed and ready to go well before they're needed. The second is reactive. This is being able to respond as soon as possible when we do get an RFI request from a business. By working together with all of our regional partners, we can move fast to identify the best site for a company and arrange a visit in a time frame that's convenient for them. We're in the process of authenticating many more sites, including those that will accommodate large-scale projects, to make Ohio the natural and easy choice for companies looking to expand.
Thanks, JP. Thanks, Chairman, for inviting me to do this. I mean, obviously this is, as we know from the Intel experience, this is key to Ohio being successful in landing projects like that. And I think my experience in the program, we've been doing this since 2016. The real value is what you heard in the video, is really making more communities in the state competitive. So it's not just the mechanics of the process, but having communities really understand what they need to do to be competitive and win a project. And I think that often gets overlooked. We have a great network, our 6 regional partners, but now since 2016, we have evaluated 550 sites in the state, and those have created 550 new relationships for us with local elected officials and local nonprofits that now are part of our network and effort in Ohio.
Questions on sites for Terry?
Terry, can you give us an idea, just in the past 3 years since you've been doing this, how many site investments have we made through either the Ohio Site Inventory Program, or how many additional authenticated sites does Ohio have? And I guess that's the follow-up. How do you see Ohio competing with some of our peer states in the development of sites? Right.
So we have, I think to date, through all of our site efforts, we've invested about $147 million in the different programs we've had for site development. Obviously, our biggest effort approved by the board in 2019 and implemented in 2020 has been the Ohio Site Inventory Program, and we have deployed $50 million a year for that program. We've had, I think, 147 projects submitted under that program. We have 72 right now that we're in some part of the process of developing projects. We've participated, I think, in almost 16 million square feet of new buildings in the state in the last couple of years through that program. I mean, it obviously makes Ohio goes right to the top. I think, there probably isn't a state that has, and really comes to the strength of our network and the relationships we've developed, not only with communities, but with the utility companies in the state and the other partners that we need to be successful. Relationships we have with the different state agencies, the Ohio EPA, and being able to have really walk arm in arm with those agencies when we talk to companies. And I think that gives companies a lot of comfort that they can come into the state, have one point of contact, and we can put all those resources in front of them immediately. And then obviously the great relationship we have with the DeWine-Husted administration and the effort that they've made to make sure that Ohio is competitive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terry, I have a quick question. You have the platform here talking across different communities. What is it that the communities can be doing on the front end to help JobsOhio and our regional partners planning investments so that they're more ready to be successful going forward?
Yeah, that's a good question, Scott. I think the real value in what communities have come to realize, and we've seen this in the program, even though we talk about Intel and the need for large sites, the majority of the site searches and the requests that come into our project team are still for sites that are less than 100 acres and buildings that are less than 200,000 square feet. So that makes a lot of communities competitive in the state and opens a door for a lot more communities to participate in economic development. So I think having that knowledge and knowing that if they have 30 or 40 acres in their community that they can set aside for economic development, there's going to be opportunities for them. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Terry.
Thanks.
It's an important initiative, and I think all organizations, all companies thinking about expanding or relocating to Ohio think first about sites, and then workforce is right behind it. So we've just heard a lot today on both those topics. Before we begin our committee reports, I just want to remind those here and those viewing virtually that yesterday, I referenced earlier, we spent from 8 in the morning, 8:30 until 4 in our committee meetings in the first part of our board meeting. So a lot of deliberation, a lot of healthy discussion. We're going to hear a summary of our committee reports at this time. Let me start with the executive committee. We didn't meet per se, but in the board meeting, we did take action to reappoint the IRB members I referenced at my opening comments. But there were no other reason for the executive committee meet, so we just dealt with that at the board level. Let's turn to the audit committee and our chairman, Dr. Jerry Sue Thornton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. President Nassif, our committee met yesterday morning at 8 a.m. and we approved, called the meeting to order and approved the audit committee minutes of July 12th, 2022. And then we began our compliance update with Ms. Claudia Harrington, who's Senior Director of Compliance. She gave a very detailed report and an overview of numerous compliance updates completed during the quarter, including the annual review of potential conflicts of interest applicable to board and staff members by the Ohio Ethics Commission, and submission of project compliance reports to the Ohio Department of Development. She led the committee through the training efforts of the corporation in the past quarter and reviewed the annual compliance scorecard of corporate compliance items. She also advised that no reports had been received in the past quarter through the corporation's Ethics E-Point hotline. At this point, I'd also like to mention that we discussed the need to bring forward to the full board the recommendation to approve the annual ethics course for 2021-2022. And so, Mr. Chair, I hereby bring forward on behalf of the committee, would like to move and have the board approve the annual ethics course for 2021-2022.
Is that the right year? So I'm going to make sure I get that in the record. 22, 23, isn't it?
22, 23, right, Don?
22,
Okay.
23.
Thank you.
Since we're on the record and we got a lot of witnesses, we might
There
make
you
sure we
go.
get it right.
There you
So,
go. Thank you.
There's a motion by the Audit Committee Chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm living in the past.
Yeah. Tempting.
She then proceeded to provide several updates on project performance by the grantees and borrowers of the corporation. She compared a volume of annual reports and distribution requests received over a 6-year period, noting a spike in the number of disbursements during the pandemic and a steady increase in the number of grantee and borrower annual reports received. She next reviewed the metric evaluation and expiration date results of the calendar of year 2021-22, and noted that the aggregate of JobsOhio projects are overperforming on their commitments to create new jobs, payroll, and capital investment. Finally, she provided a very detailed report to the committee on remedial actions taken by JobsOhio toward underperforming grantees and borrowers, and noted that the small amount of funds sought to be clawed back compared to the large distribution to grantees and borrowers. She also provided details on the small amount of legal fees expended by JobsOhio on its clawback efforts. Next, the committee received and discussed a presentation by the corporation's IT consulting firm, V2 Technology, concerning the ongoing cybersecurity efforts at JobsOhio. V2 Technology provided a report that included items such as cyber resource allocation, updated inventory of mission-critical applications, training and awareness programs for employees, maturity assessment against a recognized framework, and third-part cyber risk management programs. I think all of these were very informative and helpful to the committee as well. Members of JobsOhio accounting firm, led by Brian Faust and Julie Battles and their team, provided an update on the financial information to the committee for both previous quarters and year to date, as well as a very detailed budget to actual reviews of expenditures and reviews for the same period. The financial update included a presentation that related to the previous quarter, year to date, detailed budget to actual reviews and expenditures, as well as a discussion of operating expenses, which was focused on occurring around staff and marketing. We had a detailed report by the leaders of that team. There were preliminary Q4 FY22 budget to actual reports. Operating expenses were 7.8% under budget amounts, and FY22 operating expenses were under 18.1%. So we really had a very comprehensive review of the financial arena. The final matter that came before the board was really just a complete update on what we're doing in the financial arena. And that, Mr. Chair, is the report from the Audit Committee of JobsOhio.
Are there questions for the Audit Committee Chair? Thank you, Jerry Sue. The Compensation Committee did not meet yesterday. General Lyles, who chairs the committee, was recently recognized for an outstanding achievement, national recognition, and the recognition conflicted with our need for a committee meeting as well as participating with us today, and there were no action items anticipated. Let's turn now to Mr. John Bishop, Chair of the Investment Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Investment Committee met for several hours yesterday, and we also met on June 2nd, with the minutes of the June 2nd meeting being approved early on and at the beginning of our meeting yesterday. In summary, during the first fiscal quarter, the committee reviewed and approved or recommended for approval a total of nearly $9.15 million in incentives on 5 core economic development projects. The companies that involved in those core projects agreed to commit to, and we hold them to those commitments, a total of 235 new jobs, and of course, in many cases, numerous retained jobs, and associated new payrolls of $14.7 million. Also, all in, these core projects will make capital investments of nearly $450 million in the state of Ohio. And the committee also recommended one major services contract, multi-million-dollar commitment, which was approved, that's related to the JobsOhio Talent Initiative strategy. The committee also approved the parameters of 2 new air service restoration agreements, which has become an area of focus for us, for specifically the Cleveland and Cincinnati international airports, and these were international flights that are being restored or formed. Following up on discussions that we had during our June 2nd meeting, the committee discussed the retention of an outside consultant that would be hired to advise the board specifically as it develops its strategic spending policy, and to establish a cash reserve policy to be developed by the board in cooperation with senior management of JobsOhio. Finally, during the morning meeting yesterday, the committee received the quarterly reports from the corporation's investment portfolio advisors, outside advisors, from Cardinal Investments, as well as we received a quarterly report from Mr. Brian Faust on the results of the growth capital program for the previous quarter, which has been a very successful entity. With that, Mr. Chairman, I would conclude my report on the activities of the Investment Committee.
Thank you, John. Any questions for the Investment Committee Chair? None? Well, as usual, we wrap up with the session we refer to as Around the Horn, where each board member is able to just offer some summary observations. And let's start with where we just finished with John Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just remind everyone that it seems like in some ways it's been longer than that, but been in the process of, over the last year, celebrating the 10th anniversary, just the 10th anniversary of JobsOhio. And I guess I was blessed to be involved in some of the very early discussions with our then new Governor Kasich, when about now almost 12 years ago, the first conversations about JobsOhio and its concept were introduced and how unique it was. And now carrying that forward, I think it's safe to say that at our inception, no one ever anticipated the kind of excitement that we have seen most recently come to fruition for JobsOhio. I mean, I don't think anybody would have anticipated we would have had the President of the United States in Licking County announcing one of the largest economic development projects, if not the largest in the history of the country. And I am here to tell you that would not have happened without JobsOhio. JobsOhio has established itself as a premier economic development entity in the nation. And that's not blowing anybody's horns other than what the facts are. And the facts are very substantial. The thing that I took out of today's meeting that I think has been very rewarding to me, and maybe you've noticed it, but we've had a change in focus. In addition to job and project developments, we mentioned the term talent about a dozen times. We're spending a great deal of time, effort, and resources on the development of talent, and we have to. You can't be extremely successful out creating jobs if you don't have the talent to fill those jobs, and the right kind of talent. So the evolution of JobsOhio is continuing, and it's, I have to admit, a very exciting time for those of us who have seen it. And I just want to extend my congratulations to the leadership of JobsOhio, the partners that we have throughout the state that really do a yeoman's job in developing the many, many projects that you're hearing about. And I have to tell you, even though some say the economy is slowing down, I don't think we're going to be hurting for work for a while. So those are my remarks, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, John. Scott Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank you to the Eaton Corporation for hosting us here the last couple of days. What a phenomenal facility. And thanks to the JobsOhio team for putting this together. A couple of takeaways that I got from the last couple of days, excuse me, is really the chairman talked about this economic impact assessment that took a look at the last 10 years, and a lot of what Director Bishop talked about in terms of where we are today. That is a very impactful study, and I think it was Andrew Dye and team that put that together. It was an eye-opener, and really appreciated the work that went into it, and look forward to that being published. The other part of it was of the last couple of days was around the pipeline, the mega projects, everything that continues to go on, firing on all cylinders. So it's thanks to JP and JobsOhio, the regional partners, are coming into a busy last few months of the year, and we know that they're certainly prepared to close the year out well. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Scott. Jerry Sue Thornton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm impressed at every meeting with the results that are reported to us by President Nassif and his team. It's amazing. I listened to the different projects that we have going, starting with our acquisitions of companies coming to Ohio. It's amazing the outreach that this organization is making throughout the nation and putting Ohio on the map in so many ways. I think through our marketing efforts, we have let others know that Ohio is a good place to live, work, and play, but certainly bring your companies to Ohio. And I think that's just an outstanding job that each meeting we get some insights. Speaking of talent, I think JobsOhio is helping colleges, universities, and those who train and educate to really realize the value of our people in the state. And I think we're going to see even more happening in that arena because it is about the workers, it is about jobs, and the work that's being done there. And then I certainly would say that Mr. Marshall spoke of what Eaton Corporation is doing in DEI, and we had a great report from Sheila Atkins about our progress of bringing more minorities and women into positions at JobsOhio. And I think, again, there's a commitment there. We see it. We see the numbers. We see people coming into our workforce. And President Nassif, you and your team should be commended for that. It's a commitment, and the board appreciates it.
Thank you, Jerry Sue. Before we turn to JP for final comments as a board member, I want to again thank Eaton Corporation again for hosting us. This happens to be, I believe, on the site of the highest elevation in Cuyahoga County, and we were on the, I think, 11th floor yesterday and had just fantastic views, including of Lake Erie. So beautiful facilities, and they had just great hosts. I'd also like to remind everybody our next meeting is December the 9th, and it'll be in the Cincinnati region somewhere to be determined. So we're looking forward to our visit down there. JP.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Want to start off by thanking again members of the JobsOhio board. All the board members are appointed by Ohio's governor, and they all volunteer. And they are all very experienced people and professionals in their own right. And I can tell you, we just don't come to quarterly meetings. We have full committees. We have meetings in between the meetings to make sure context is shared. We're in a complex, unique business, and we're being very successful. And I want to just share a little context because I know many of you, like me, that have been here in the state for a long time, we became accustomed to continuous migration west and south, and our manufacturing may be going NAFTA south of the border and then outsourcing to Asia. And in recent years, in the last few years, we've had a lot of good news. And it's a result of decades of work at all levels of government, professional members of the economic development community, but mostly the great people of Ohio have made it happen. So a little context of where we are. So last year, again, working very closely under the leadership of Governor DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Husted, JobsOhio and our network partners and local partners created more jobs, producing more payroll through more economic development projects at higher customer service net promoter scores than at any time in the history of the organization. And that momentum is carried forward to the first 2 quarters of this year, where there have already been over 170 new projects that will add over 15,000 new direct jobs in those 10 industry sectors, resilient industry sectors that we support, and over $1 billion of payroll to help Ohio improve the quality of life for Ohio families. Just in the past 12 months, I know there's a lot of talk about Intel, of course, and there should be. Think about what's been announced in the state of Ohio. Again, just in the last 12 months, the largest initial foreign direct investment project in Ohio's history in the Dayton region, in Sydney, Ohio, creating a very important cog in the electric vehicle battery space to build out our supply chain. And Ford, again, our chairman referenced Ford, up here in Lorain County, a mega project where an OEM will manufacture electric vehicles, leveraging the great Ohio workforce. The largest aircraft hangars in the country are being built right now at an airport near Dayton, Ohio. And military aircraft will be modified and maintained at an Ohio facility for the first time since Orville Wright was alive 75 years ago, which coincidentally is also the 75th anniversary of the U.S. Air Force. And in the last 2 years, it hasn't just been all large companies. We announced at the end of 2019, again, at the encouragement of Governor Mike DeWine and Lieutenant Governor John Husted, to come up with programs that could engage all population groups and all communities in various areas of the state that were capable, but we didn't have the tools to help them engage in the Ohio economy. We started implementing the inclusive economic development programs in 2020, and in just 2 years, over 275 projects have benefited from this, and in all areas of the state. Projects owned by underrepresented population groups in communities, small communities in urban areas and in rural areas, in places like Youngstown, Lima, Coshocton, and other places are now able to fund their development plans and revitalize their communities. Not solely funded by JobsOhio. JobsOhio's investment then attract $3, $4, $5 additional dollars to fund those. And then, of course, there was the groundbreaking last Friday. It was an amazing, bringing a new industry, the largest, most complex semiconductor plant. It's projected that the next 10 years, there will be more demand for semiconductors than in the last 40 years. So these are exciting times all over our state, in every region, across every sector. And we're all very excited to be part of that team. And the JobsOhio team and our network partners are proud of their performance as well. We're all very happy for them. So I'd just like to say that we're happy to be part of the jobs of Team Ohio. Team Ohio includes everyone here, everyone watching, led by the Governor DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Husted. We're in the midst of capturing a once-in-a-generation opportunity, The momentum is strong in spite of the economic headwinds that we see, and we're going to continue to persevere and take full advantage of this. So thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, and to all of our partners.
Thank you, JP. Great summary of significant achievements. So with that, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Jerry Sue. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, John. Without dissent, we are adjourned. Thank you. 10 o'clock.